We are now on to the next two topics for photosynthesis. And again, hopefully at the end of this lesson, you guys will be able to describe the major features and chemical events in photosynthesis and respiration, and also explain the importance of chlorophyll and other pigments. Now, it's important to note that chloroplasts are the sites of photosynthesis. So in plants, leaves are the main organs of photosynthesis. Their broad, flat surfaces expose abundant surface area to light or to sunlight. But light is just one requirement for photosynthesis because water also plays an essential role. Roots absorb this vital ingredient which moves off stem and into the leaves. And plants also exchange carbon dioxide and oxygen with the atmosphere through the stomata. Now, by the way, the singular form or term for stomata would be stoma. Okay, so stomata are tiny openings in the epidermis of a leaf or stem. Now, most photosynthesis occurs in the mesophyll. So this is a collective term for the cells filling the leaf's interior. Meso means middle and phyll means leaf. Now, the leaf mesophyll cells contain abundant chloroplasts. So the organelles of photosynthesis in plants and algae are the chloroplasts. And most photosynthetic cells contain 40 to 200 chloroplasts, which add up to about 500,000 per square millimeter of leaf. So if you can imagine, that is an impressive array of solar energy collectors. Each chloroplasts contain tremendous surface area for the reactions of photosynthesis. Now, two membranes enclose the stroma, which is the chloroplast fluid inner region. This gelatinous fluid contains ribosomes, DNA, and enzymes. Be careful not to confuse the stroma with a stoma, which is a leaf pore. Now, suspended in the stroma are between 10 to 100 grana. Singular form would be granum, each composed of a stack of 10 to 20 pancake-shaped thylakoids. Okay, so thylakoids, as you can see here in the picture, consists of a membrane that is studded with photosynthetic pigments. Now, the thylakoid space is the inner compartment enclosed by a thylakoid membrane. So those are the most important parts of the leaf in terms of photosynthesis. Now, the overall image that you see here shows the leaf as well as the chloroplast anatomy from the tissue inside the leaf, which is again the mesophyll, the chloroplasts, which are the light harvesting, which contains the light harvesting pigments, and the stacks of thylakoid membranes that make up each granule. Next, we have what we call as photosystems. Now, anchored in the thylakoid membranes are many photosystems, which are clusters of pigments and proteins that participate in photosynthesis. Now, each photosystem includes about 300 chlorophyll A molecules and 50 accessory pigments. The photosystem's reaction center includes a special pair of chlorophyll A molecules that actually use the energy in photosynthetic reactions. The other pigments of the photosystem make up the light harvesting complex that surrounds the reaction center. And these additional pigments are what we call as antenna pigments because they capture photon energy and funnel it to the reaction center. If the array of pigment in a photosystem is like a quiz show team, then the reaction center is analogous to the one member who announces the team's answer to the show's moderator. So that's how you can think about it. Now, Each photosystem has a few hundred chlorophyll molecules. Now the question is, why does only the reaction center chlorophyll actually participate in the photosynthetic reactions? Now the answer would be this. A single chlorophyll A molecule can absorb only a small amount of light energy. But because many pigment molecules are arranged close together, each antenna pigment can quickly pass its energy to the reaction center, freeing the antenna to absorb other photons as they strike. Thus, the photosystem's organization greatly enhances the efficiency of the photosynthesis. Next, we have photosynthesis occurs in two stages. Now, inside the chloroplast, photosynthesis occurs in two stages, which are the light reactions and the carbon reactions. Now, as you can see here in the picture, it summarizes the entire process, and further later on, we will be discussing specifics of these two very important reactions. Okay, so first off, we have the light reactions. Now, the light reactions convert solar energy to chemical energy. And you can think of the light reactions as the photo part of the photosynthesis. In the chloroplast's thylakoid membranes, pigment molecules in two-linked photosystem capture kinetic energy from photons and store it as a potential energy in the chemical bonds. So these chemical bonds we're referring to are ATP and NADPH. So just recall your previous knowledge on ATP. Remember that ATP is a nucleotide that stores potential energy in the covalent bonds between the phosphate groups. So ATP forms when a phosphate group is added to ADP, or adenosine diphosphate. So when a phosphate group is added to that, it becomes ATP and it becomes adenosine triphosphate. The other energy-rich product of the light reactions is the NADPH. Now, NADPH is a molecule that carries pairs of energized electrons. In photosynthesis, these electrons come from one of the two reaction center chlorophyll molecules. Once the light reactions are underway, chlorophyll in turn replaces its lost electrons by splitting water molecules, yielding O2 as its waste product. Now, these two resources, which are energy and loaded electron carriers, set the stage for the second part of the photosynthesis, which is the carbon reactions. Now, in the carbon reactions, the chloroplast uses ATP, the high energy electrons in ADPH, and carbon dioxide to produce sugar molecules. Now, these reactions are the synthesis part of photosynthesis. The ATP and NADPH come from the light reactions previously, and the carbon dioxide comes from the atmosphere. Once inside the leaf, the carbon dioxide diffuses into the mesophyll cell and across the chloroplast membrane, and then into the stroma where the carbon reactions occur. Overall, photosynthesis is an oxidation and reduction or redox process. So remember in your chemistry class, oxidation means that electrons are removed from an atom or molecule, whereas reduction is the process wherein electrons are added. As you will see here in the equation for photosynthesis, photosynthesis strips electrons from the oxygen atoms in water, or H2O. So in exact, the oxygen atoms become oxidized. These electrons reduce the carbon in carbon dioxide because oxygen atoms attract electrons more strongly than do carbon atoms. Now, moving electrons from oxygen to carbon requires energy, and the energy source for this reaction is, of course, light.